it looks like we're ready for our next run. So we're ready to run, dodge, and shoot our way to Raccoon City as we join Big Scared for a glitchless NG Plus run of Resident Evil 3. So Big, take it away.
Hello, thank you, Linear. For those of you who don't know me, I am Big Scared. I am the events lead for the Clock Tower team, and I love Resident Evil. So I wanted to show off one of my favorite games, which is Resident Evil 3 Remake. Thank you so much for putting your donations towards the bid war. We are going to be showcasing the full run today, so we are not skipping the intro. Unfortunately, Jill will be made into a sandwich. So time's going to start when we click in and the cutscene starts. So that's going to be in 3, 2, 1, let's go. Now, the thing about Resident Evil 3 Remake as a speedrun is that there are many categories of game, right? We are experiencing Glitchless New Game Plus, so I'll be using all of the New Game Plus items. There are regular New Game Plus, any percent categories. There are categories that don't use this. There are categories that skip this whole intro sequence. And so we are getting a lovely, just firsthand look at all of what this game has to offer. Now, you'll be pleased to know that I have equipped the classic costume. Gamers, we had to do it right here. And because we are definitely going to watch Nemesis throw Jill around, I'm gonna let this cutscene play for you. Thank you so much for your donations to Safe in Our World.
Okay?
Brad, is that you?
Listen, you gotta get out of there.
What are you talking about?
I don't have time to explain. You gotta get out of there right now.
All right, let me grab my...
So you might be asking yourself, why would people want to skip this part of the game? And the answer is very straightforward. It's an auto-scroller for the most part. Nemesis seems to be in hot pursuit, but if you don't immediately run, he doesn't chase you. It progresses as you progress. The stakes are a lot lower than you think it is, and in a speedrun it becomes really repetitive because there's a lot of small cutscenes to skip. So, we got our toss around there. I'm gonna hit the ground running, and we're gonna try to get to the city streets as fast as possible.
Get out of here.
Now, there is a lovely person out here just hanging out. I want you to root for him. He's gonna do so well. Look at him. I believe in this man. We're not gonna stick around to find out how that goes, though. We're just gonna assume the best. There are folks in chat who like my avatar with the gun. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I put together most of my VTuber stuff myself. This is my Claire Redfield outfit, and I figured it was a good occasion to bring a sidearm myself, you know? Nemesis here is hot on our heels, and I need everything I need to protect myself. So, thank you for appreciating that.
Hey Big Scared, is it okay to jump in here with a donation?
Absolutely, hit me with it.
Alright, we have a 24-pound donation from Hobbytan that says,
Okay?
I love a bit of art therapy. Heck yeah, trans rights. Thanks for your donation.
Hobbytan, thank you so much. Let's go trans rights. Let's see that incentive met. How close are we to the 500-pound goal?
I also forgot to mention that Hobbytan put their incentive for Save Emily, and I can check that for you.
We gotta be dreaming.
It looks like Save Emily is in the lead.
Beautiful.
No one has voted for Abandon Emily yet, so.
Beautiful.
Sorry, Brad.
So, our friend Brad here, unfortunately has been bit by zombies. We have to leave him behind, but don't worry, we will see him again, better or worse. Brace yourselves, it will be worse. And for now, we're still trying to make our way to the police station because that's where we think safety is gonna be.
You! Down there! Get to the parking garage roof!
Parking garage. Got it.
In my experience in Resident Evil games, yeah, the police station is never the safest place.
Are you all right?
It's always where the most action is, better or worse. And as you can see here, I am so used to skipping this intro sequence that I thought this was a cutscene. Instead, we just get a lovely moment with Dario.
The only safe place is in here.
Is it here? He's got the right idea. So we are following instructions. We gotta go up to the top of the parking garage, where we are assuming rescue will happen. Because this is a Resident Evil game, our assumptions are going to be incorrect here. I want you to brace your expectations accordingly. But that does mean we get more Nemesis action, which is what your dollars voted for today.
I personally love some Nemesis action.
Nemesis is so cool. There he is. Now, gamers, you might not have expected the true violence to be against Nemesis here. I'm gonna hit him with my car.
It's my turn, bitch.
Which, if you are a Resident Evil fan, you might recognize this car as Ethan Winter's car from Resident Evil 7. It's the same asset.
That is super awesome. I never knew that.
Yeah, that is one of the major things about Resident Evil 3 Remake that folks had some varying feedback about. Like, I appreciate being able to pinpoint things and being like, that's where that's from. Haha, I like this reference. But a lot of folks spotted things in this game and they're like, oh, that's that same bolt cutter. That's in every Resident Evil game. Oh, that's Ethan's car. Oh, that's that same barrel. Oh, that's that whole stage from Resident Evil Resistance. So, better or worse, this is a very efficient game, both as a speedrun and as a dev project. In the spirit of the original Resident Evil 3, it reuses a lot of assets. And that made its development timeline really small. This one came out like a year after Resident Evil 2 Remake. And so at least for me, it makes perfect sense why so many of these things are popping up again. But I think that doesn't necessarily take away from the experience, and I like the way that they remix the use of these things. I am personally team bolt cutters. I love them so much.
We need to get you geared up. Head up to street level. You'll find supplies there.
All right.
Do we have a moment to jump in here with another donation?
Absolutely, hit me with it.
Awesome. We have a 7.77 pound donation from Mr. Matt Internet, who says, I hope Big has a banger of a run. Let's go, Big Scared. Let's go.
Mr. Matt, thank you so much. That is quite banging of yourself as well. And I say that affectionately, you Lord of Sausage Hunting, you. That being said, I don't have any hot dogs in this game, but I do have a massive rocket launcher. Linear, if there's other things you'd like to share, now's a great time.
I did forget that they also donated towards Save Emily, so that's a fun bit of information for you.
I love that. We are determined to save Emily tomorrow morning in the guilt run, and I love that energy so much. We cannot abandon our cousin.
I will also mention we are 407.77 pounds out of 500 pounds for the Silent Hill Shattered Memories incentive, where we get to see the
Ooh.
picture colored. That's exciting. We're so
Just
close,
under
we can
100
do it.
pounds.
Yeah. So everyone get your donations in if you can.
I love that. Thank you for that update. And if I remember correctly, Silent Hill Shadow Memories is the last run of the night tonight, so we got a lot of time to get there. Okay, so we came all the way down here specifically for one object. It is this fire hose. Now that we have the fire hose, we get to run all the way back to the other side of town where we just were to use the fire hose. And then, guess what, gamers? Once we're done using the fire hose, we get to run all the way back to this room we were just in where we picked up the fire hose to push some buttons, and then we get to run all the way back to where we just were. Isn't this the most just inspired gameplay loop? I'm so glad that we get to traverse the whole of Raccoon City.
That sounds like a typical adventure in Resident Evil.
It is the most Resident Evil thing. I made a wrong turn there. I was automatically on the next cycle here.
Gotta put this out.
But if there's one thing Resident Evil does well, it is backtracking. So the fact that it's here, it's just classic to me.
Is someone in here?
All right, new game plus. Why am I examining that? Why am I doing that? Not this. We have access to all the things we need first, so we don't need to pick up the bolt cutters off the wall. We won't need to pick up the lockpicks later on. I also have a couple items in my inventory that you might recognize if you've played Resident Evil 7. They are the defense and attack coins. These increase Jill's restoration, so she will naturally heal some damage in addition to the damage that she heals from playing on assisted difficulty. Additionally, she just generally takes less damage, and her hits hit harder, which you would think wouldn't make that big of a difference since we're using the infinite rocket launcher, but it actually does. If you have the attack coin in your pocket while using the infinite rocket launcher, you have to shoot fewer rockets at Nemesis during specific fights later on in the game. And while these are small time saves, they do add
I don't
up.
even want to think about it.
I'm gonna grab both herbs for safety. For the folks who have been watching my practice runs, you'll know that I have been playing it really risky going into this nest. But since we're here during the marathon, I want to make sure that we don't get stun locked into a slow walk cycle. Because every time we get grabbed, we get infested with parasites, and parasites mean Jill cannot run.
Gross.
So the only way to get rid of them is with green herb. There's 2 at the start of this maze-like area, and there is 1 inside of it. But the one that's inside of it is out of the way, so we don't go grab it. Now, the point of being in here is we have to flip some switches, so that way we can push some buttons. There are 4 switches total inside the maze. Our first one's right there. And then the last 3 are grouped together on the other side of this scaffolding. While I'm running around doing this stuff, if there's anything you'd like to share with the audience, now's a great time, Linear.
I was just gonna make mention about the parasites.
Yeah.
Does that mean that we go from Parasite Girl to Parasite Eve?
Oh, I love that because the mitochondria is indeed the powerhouse of the cell.
Indeed.
Don't you grab me? Oh, I got so lucky right there. That brain sucker has the potential to knock you off of the interactions. And they can also this one's gonna grab me. And if they grab you off of it, it can also become one of the infestation animations. And so not only is it time loss, it's just insult to injury when they do that. And yes, if there are zombie puns, if there are monster puns, if there are rocket puns, Resident Evil puns, I want to hear them in your donos. Make me laugh, gamers. I dare you. Alright, we've got another walking segment. We gotta backtrack across town to go push the buttons that I warned you that we needed to push. But this time, instead of there being dogs in the way, Nemesis is here, and he's gonna try to give us a firm handshake. If you shoot too soon, he will have iframes, and he will just beat you. If you don't shoot him, he will pursue you, and there is a cost-benefit to letting Nemesis actively chase you. Because I missed it there. Certain enemies, as they attack you, you can dodge roll through it, and that does give you small speed boosts.
During such an intense scene, do we have a quick moment for a quick word here?
Absolutely.
All right. So our goal for this year's Time Tick Marathon is to raise 1,500 pounds to support Safe in Our World's programs and services. And we wouldn't be able to do any of this without the support of viewers like you. So thank you for being here, for helping us spread the word about our marathon, and for supporting our efforts towards this goal. As a reminder, you can make donations towards these amazing incentives by putting !donate chat.
I think this might be the building.
Yes, thank you, thank you. So we're here. We've made it. It's time to push buttons. I hope you're ready. This is a subway puzzle.
Alright,
We
where
need
are we
to remember the route. So we need to go to Faust, then Raccoon Sitter.
Hey, I'm super
I
confident.
always miss it the first time because I'm thinking too hard. And then St. Michael's, which is SA.
Valid route confirmed.
Carlos, it's me. I finished inputting the subway route.
SA is always the one that throws me because I'm expecting Saint to be abbreviated ST. It's not. It's just the first two letters of the station.
What the fuck?
Here's one for you. Someone in the chat said, "What streets do zombies live on? Dead ends."
That's good. I love that.
By the way, this part has always thoroughly confused me, and you just made it look like nothing. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, he's not. He got iframes. He had iframes. Okay, we're good. That's the danger of Nemesis. Depending on what he's doing, he is impervious to us. And so even with our most powerful weapon, he can still craftily escape us. Don't you? I was dodging. That's just insulting. Now, you might be saying, oh no, iframes, whatever will I do? Don't worry, we get them too during certain moments, and they pay off particularly well for us during the final boss fight. Jill has iframes when she's activating a gun that is known as the Finger. Because what else are you gonna give a tyrant? The Finger. And it is quite literally a gun bigger than her. So we're gonna abuse the game mechanics in the same way that Nemesis does. You might also be wondering why I didn't shoot him here, and it's because he's sauntering, he's sashaying, and we have enough time to kick this vent in, and if we're lucky, we'll get to get a peek of him as we get the cutscene here. No, we moved so fast, he couldn't keep up.
Wow, nice.
Thank you. We are on to Act 2 of the game, the sewer segment, because it's Resident Evil. Why wouldn't there be a sewer segment? So while we get our bearings in here, if there's anything you'd like to share with chat, now's a fantastic time for it.
We don't have any new donations, which makes me sad, but I appreciate all the donations that have come in thus far. But I just want to remind everyone, we are so close to being the incentive for the Silent Hill Shattered Memories, and I really want to see that picture colored. So if you can, please put your donations in. We still have plenty of time, but we're so close. I know we can do it.
Yeah, it's super doable. I believe in us. Now, you might be wondering what these are. These don't look like zombies. This is because they're not zombies. Those are Hunter Gammas. For those of you unfamiliar with the story of Resident Evil, okay, here's your crash course in Resident Evil 3. Zombies, they're already here. They've been here for at least a month, right? Jill got kicked off of the police force. Not formally, but like she's on involuntary leave and has been since the mansion incident. Here we are in the city, finding out just exactly how big the scope of Umbrella's misdeeds are. This game takes place kind of before and after Resident Evil 2. So this first half of it takes place on September 28th. Second half takes place on October 3rd, whereas the events of Resident Evil 2 is like on the 31st. So here we are here in the sewers, uncovering one of Umbrella's lesser known projects, which is experimentation on reptiles, specifically frogs and other sort of aquatic life that resulted in the Hunter Gamma. These things can eat you in one bite, and it's a nasty enemy casually, but if you have the grenade launcher with fire rounds, they go down in 1 to 2 hits, and the rocket launcher, of course, obliterates them instantly, as long as they don't have iframes. This whole section is just a complicated moving a battery around puzzle. And so once you grab the battery, you gotta make sure that you open the right door with it, so that way you can open pathways to reclaim your battery to open the next door with it. But once we're here, we no longer need our battery. This is the final door, and we are done with the sewers, if we can just get out this door. Now, gamers, this is the Cocck Towr stream team, right? You're on the Cocck Towr's Twitch channel. What would Resident Evil 3 be without a clock tower? I have to brace you. We are rapidly approaching it. But first, we have to fight Nemesis. I promise you, get hyped. There's gonna be a clock tower, and it's coming up very soon.
It can use weapons?
Do we have a moment for another blurb?
Yes, we do.
All right. So, speaking of Cocck Towr, founded in 2021, the Cocck Towr is a stream team oriented around showcasing the breadth of horror content on Twitch. Whether it's speedrunning, let's plays, podcasting, art, or game development, we've got time for it all in the Cocck Towr.
We do have time for it all in the Cocck Tower.
And also, if you want to keep up with the Cocck Towr, you can follow us on Twitter at Cocck Towr TV. Join our community on Steam or join our Discord server at discord.cocktower.tv.
Yeah, and I just want to add on to that. You don't have to be part of the Twitch team to join the Discord server or the Steam community. Those are open to the public. And so if you just like our vibe, you can hang out. We would love to have you.
You all do have an awesome vibe.
Alright, this is coming up on our first boss fight. Rooftop Nemesis. He's got a flamethrower, obviously. And the gimmick here is to make that explode. Normally, you'd be using your pistol and a shotgun, maybe a grenade launcher, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shoot rockets at the ground just at his feet and behind him. Since I didn't shoot it directly, it takes a few extra shots for the pack on his back to explode. But once that's off, it's really just making sure that we survive the fight. He's down, and that's our first boss fight.
Nice.
Thank you.
Carla?
A little early on that walking cutscene there. Normally, the walking cutscenes in this game force you to move at a slower pace between two designated points in the area. That specific one that I just skipped would last until we reach this fire truck. And of course, we don't want to walk slow all the way to the fire truck, so we skip all the walking cutscenes. There was another one in the subway that I cut earlier, and there's gonna be at least one more later on. Another familiar area, if you've played Resident Evil 2 Remake, Kendo's gun shop. We are gonna get a cameo here from Kendo because he's still here. It's before Resident Evil 2 happened. So everyone say hi to Kendo. Here he comes. There he is. There he goes. He's gone.
If you're heading to the station, take that
and we have the longest door animation sequence in all of the modern games. I don't know why this padlock takes 89 years to open, but here we are. And I also don't understand why we can't just bazooka the padlock open, because I've tried that. The bazooka will not open that gate. You need the key.
If we apply that logic, there's lots of things I wonder why we can't just blast open.
Right? Like, why can't I just
Launcher?
blast
Really?
the whole fire truck out of the way? Why can't I blast these buildings down? I guess that would make the game too easy though, right? So we're in a chase sequence here. Unassisted, Nemesis has terrible aim. It's very rare that he actually hits you during this chase segment, but it can occasionally happen, especially if you, as the player, get squirrely with it. This section, you do have to dodge him at least 2 times, and then it'll throw you into the cutscene. And now we're in our final segment in Raccoon City. I know. We're gonna leave it behind. Get your farewells in, chat. We're gonna head over to the clock tower, and then we're probably never gonna see these streets again. But before we go there, I have a question to ask. Okay? And it might be a bold question. But I hope everyone who gets where I'm coming with this knows that I mean it kindly. And the question I have for you is, how's your head?
This is insane.
Big?
Because I've got a couple complaints. So that blast we just noticed was Nemesis dropping down behind us. If we're lucky, he's not gonna schmove so fast that he grabs us or blasts us, which it looks like we got good RNG there. He wasn't super aggressive. The love of my life, Carlos, is here, so we're safe. He's gonna take care of us.
Carlos is such a great guy.
Carlos, I know we didn't.
I adore this man. A lot of people have feelings about how they revamped his character for the remake, but I think that it's such a strong idea to make him not only more endearing, like they upped his himbo factor by at least 200%, but they like toned down some of the elements of Carlos that were kind of problematic.
Why not?
And his redesign is really nice. Like, this is a man that I trust.
It's fine by me.
I trust him when he says he's here to help. The other guy, I don't know. He's too suave. All right, we're on the train. We're heading out. We are schmoving on with the story, which means we now get to play as Carlos. Because this game likes to do a little meanwhile back and forth between our 2 characters.
All right. Keep your head
So,
screwed on, Romeo.
you would normally expect Jill to go check out her office or whatever, go to the police station.
like a
Nah,
cemetery.
Carlos is the one who goes in remake. Also, say hi to Brad. I told you, better or worse, he'd be back. So, please feel free to put an F in chat for him.
It's open.
I have a question for you.
I might have an answer for you.
Where'd that cop
Who
go?
do you like playing as more, Jill or Carlos?
Ooh, I think as far as gameplay mechanics, I prefer Jill's dodge to Carlos's punch. That being said, as far as like the segments and the gameplay loops, I think Carlos is more concise and it has less repetition to it. And so it's easier for me to keep track of the Carlos segments than it is to keep track of the Jill segments. Because as you just saw, Jill is like a bunch of back and forth across the city. And it gets really easy to, especially when you're grinding the game,
So this
forget
search and
which
rescue
loop
mission
you're
is
on
really more like
and make wrong
find and detain.
turns. Whereas Carlos is just like, go upstairs, come down one time,
Good to
go
know.
back up, and it's
I'll
over.
open the shutter so you can get through.
You stay here and find out what's been going on here at the station.
So I think
Call you
they're
if you
both
find
really
anything.
fun, but they're different, and it's hard for me to
Hey.
say which one I like more.
Be careful.
Yeah. You too, man.
Plus, I love the way he runs. Look at this man.
What the hell was that thing?
He
He does have a
runs.
very nice run.
Yeah.
Couldn't have been Bobby.
I lovingly refer to this as the butt sweat run. Like he runs like he's so swampy. I relate to it. Oh, got hit by. Oh, bad luck at that door. That's what I get for pointing out the way he runs. Okay. So normally in like a new game run or a casual playthrough, Carlos is a hard segment, but because we have infinite launcher, that room of 15 zombies is a cakewalk. Similarly, the room that used to be referred to as the YOLO room is rendered a very easy experience because we just shoot once and keep running. That being said, it has been replaced by a different room that is still very risky even with the launcher, and we'll see that later on in the hospital segment. Get off of me. You never bite me. Why did you bite me? Zombie said, you wanted to see the full game? I'm gonna show you every animation. Alright, so we don't have the extra buttons, but that's okay. The item we need is in 104. And the only reason we came down here is for this Duracell battery. We saw yesterday, Alan Wake had the Energizer moment. Resident Evil has its Duracell moment. We love batteries in survival horror. Now that we have ours, we can come in here and blow a hole in a wall. Very different usage for the batteries. Right, now that we're through here, we simply blow up the shower.
One at a time, take a number.
We blow up the extra zombie. There's gonna be a licker diving through the window. We blow them up. And we are home free for this first Carlos segment.
This will take some time.
Beautiful. And what a nice way to end with a liquor.
Now we're back in Jill. She's got a little bit of walking around before we get into the meat of the Cocck Tower segment. Is there anything you'd like to share with the audience?
Am I the only one who made it?
I just wanted to remind everyone to be sure to get your donations in for the amazing incentives. In addition to the Silent Hill Shattered Memories incentive, we also have the Guilt incentive where we get to choose the ending, whether we save Emily or we save ourselves. Currently, Save Emily is still in the lead, but there's plenty of time to still change that. All you have to do is put !donate in the chat, and it'll take you to a link, and you can choose it for yourself. I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah, we got until tomorrow morning to meet that incentive, so it's really anyone's game. It's so early. And here we are, gamers, our beloved Cocck Tower. Can I get some Cocck Tower emotes in chat, please, and thank you?
And if we have time, we have another donation that just came in.
Yeah, hit me with it.
All right, we have a £5 donation from, excuse me if I crack up, Lupra, who says, Big, where do zombies shop? Amber, Zombie, and Bitch. Thank you so much for your donation. And
That
we
was
put it
delightful.
towards, Save Emily.
Delightful. Thank you for that. This is Cocck Tower Nemesis. That's the whole fight. Normally, you would have to use your grenade launcher and a specific type of mine that is sticky. And Nemesis would be doing these zoomies all around the arena, running on the buildings, hanging out on top of the clock tower. And you would have to try to knock him off of the buildings using the grenades. But since we have infinite rockets, really, you shoot at his feet a few times and he goes down. Which means we're already back driving Carlos, my beloved. And we are here in the hospital for the meteor chunk of his segment. Now, I mentioned earlier that Jill's Raccoon City portion of the game is a lot of loops and circles between a couple specific points. That is a very accurate way to describe this Carlos segment. We're going to make a couple loops around the hospital between the first and second floor. We're going to drop down. We're going to cha-cha slide. We're gonna hokey pokey, and hopefully we get through here without too much of a hassle. That being said, we are not alone in here. There are obviously zombies, but there is a new creature that we will be contending with, and that is the Hunter Beta. For those of you familiar with classic Resident Evil, the Hunter Beta is a traditional hunter. They are the ones with claws and also small, sharp teeth. They are known for their leaping jump attacks, and they can one-shot kill you. So when they start showing up, you know they mean business. But for now, we're busy. We jumped out a window, we grabbed a key, and we're gonna need that when we get right back upstairs. Now, since we've already made a pass through the upstairs, the dormant zombies are gonna start waking up. This is the one really that might cause any sort of issue for us. It's very rare that he does, but sometimes it happens. And since we have our key, we can go immediately into here and grab our key card. When we leave this room that is absolutely covered in strawberry jam is when we'll find our first Hunter Beta. Don't be alarmed, it's set up as like a jump scare, but we're gonna skip the cutscene that happens in. So do your best, gamers. And you might notice I was being very careful opening that locker. It's because if you accidentally open the wrong locker, a zombie falls out on top of you and it adds like 5 seconds of stun animation there. It's just a pain in the butt to deal with. And there's our Hunter Beta.
Jesus Christ!
A zombie in the locker? That sounds so rude.
I know, and it's not even an active zombie, so it just sort of flops onto you unceremoniously in the most just... It feels so bad when you get hit with that in a run. Now, I mentioned that there is a room that is still risky to play as Carlos with the bazooka, and it is this one, because there are 2 Hunter Betas in there, and yes, they are both capable of one-shotting you. So while you're dealing with one, the other can come out of nowhere like Randy Orton and hit you with the RKO. Luckily, I'm on to him. I seen him coming. Whoa! He's gonna hit me with the RKO! Carlos, please. It's fine. We didn't die. That was not ideal, but we survived, and that's the important part.
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. And now that we've done that, we can go downstairs again through the window because it's faster. And we can use the item that we came here all along to get. All this looping around was for a cassette tape of someone's meeting where he yells at a nurse. So this is your warning. If you don't like being yelled at by grouchy old men, maybe don't pay attention for like 10 seconds.
Wow, so much work to be yelled at.
Yeah.
Who do you think you're talking to?
I'm goddamn Nathaniel Bard. That's all we needed. That voice line. And here he is, getting exactly what he deserves. A bullet between the eyes. Because this man worked for Umbrella. He was involved in the research that created the virus and also, by consequence, the vaccine that we are here to collect. But he's not a good guy, necessarily. And that's alright. We have our vaccine. It's all that matters. We can save Jill. She is by far the most important person in the city, right? In the meantime, we do have a friend. This friend can be a little spicy, so put some hoop in chat if you want to see me not get backstabbed. Oh, I got backstabbed anyway. Don't chase me. Stop chasing me. I don't want you to come in here. Beautiful.
You're gonna be okay, Jill.
Now, we're in the final segment as Carlos, the defense section of the game, which, if you like Resident Evil 4, maybe you recognize the vibe of this. We are playing as Carlos. We are defending Jill, who is in this room, from the waves of zombies that are going to come in through the windows and eventually through this door as well. They're also going to be joined by some hunters, some of the special zombies that Nemesis puts like tentacle things on top of. But we have our corporate mandated rocket launcher, and our new customer service job is going to go perfectly. Luckily for us, it's a lot of hanging out. So we're going to hang out.
Look at Carlos.
Wait for
He
them to
doesn't
show up.
break a sweat.
I know, he doesn't even break a sweat. He's been working in customer service for too long, obviously. Another day in the office. No big deal. So Linear, I have a question for you. Who's your favorite Resident Evil character?
Off the top of my head, I would say Leon Kennedy, but if I actually sat down and thought about it, I don't know. But definitely, I love me some Leon.
Leon's a really good choice.
Speaking of which, that is why I'm so excited for the upcoming Resident Evil 4 run.
I know! We got a whole block of Resident Evil content. So, in addition to my run, which you're watching right now, we've also got Resident Evil 4 and then Resident Evil Village coming up after that. Yeah, it's just customer service. When the lights go out, you gotta move out of the way because the party's gonna start behind you. A hunter beta will bust through the door. Don't worry about it. Just shoot him in the feet. It'll be fine. The tricky part here is that zombies will also occasionally spawn from the ceiling. If you're lucky, it'll only be this one. Sometimes there's an extra one that will sneak up on you. Hopefully, we won't get that. But as long as we hang out near our desk, our job will be easy, and most of the problems will be very obvious to deal with. I hope everyone in chat feels very represented by your accurate depiction of customer service jobs.
I gotta say, I think Resident Evil nailed it here.
Nailed it. Alright, at some point very soon there's going to be another hunter beta that comes through this window specifically. That's what I'm waiting for. And then once the hunter comes through, there's one more little push of this segment that will happen after a brief cutscene. And then we say goodbye to Carlos for the rest of the run, as far as, like, playing as him. He doesn't disappear. But, you know, this is the end of us playing as Carlos, which means we get no more of this fabulous back-scratching animation.
But even after the run, Carlos will ever be in our hearts.
Yeah, he would never leave us in a cold, cruel, Carlosless world. He would never do that to us. There's the hunter. So I'm gonna get in position for our next sequence where we need this. I I also want to point out, because this is something that a lot of people don't notice until I point it out to them, okay? If you choose the quote-unquote classic hairstyle for Carlos in this game, he bears an uncanny resemblance to John Cena. I will let you do your own Googling and research, but I dare you to tell me I'm wrong, because I'm not. And for this last 10 seconds or so of Carlos, we mostly just hold down the fort and do what every customer service worker wishes we could do, and just unyieldingly blast. All right. We are done with Carlos, which means we are in the final leg of the game, and we are resuming control of Jill.
Nice. You're just blasting your way through this.
Yeah. It's the beauty of the rocket launcher, but even without it, this run is still pretty short. And this is the shortest segment of the game. We are heading into Umbrella's Nest 2 laboratory. For those of you keeping up with the story, I mentioned earlier that Resident Evil 3 takes place over the course of a couple days, both before and after the events of Resident Evil 2. Jill has been asleep for like 4 days, and she woke up on October 3rd, and congratulations, we're there now. Resident Evil 2 has happened. Leon and Claire have escaped the city. Nest 1 has blown up, and so we are here at the other underground secret facility in Raccoon City, the place where they make hunters and tyrants.
How is it no one in the hospital ever noticed all this?
So once again, the loop here is going to be collecting items, navigating a semicircular path, making sure that we have the things and looping back around. That is more or less the process of this speed run, is knowing where to go and what to pick up. But in here it becomes very tricky because this is a labyrinth of a warehouse. I mentioned earlier that this section is a lot like Resident Evil Resistance. It's because it is structured very similarly to that game. For those of you who don't know, it's one of the asymmetrical multiplayer games that Capcom released alongside these re-releases of older games. And so we have different tasks like moving these elevators, dealing with fuses, dealing with different types of environmental hazards, which are all present in that game at a much higher velocity and frequency. And as you can see, I have exactly 3 spaces left in my inventory. That is all we will need because there are 3 fuses in this section. And as long as we don't pick up anything extra, we should be good to go. Oof, bad dog RNG.
Dead end. No, wait.
So because this is an Umbrella warehouse, they are storing all kinds of stuff here, including bioweapons. It's not just production, it's also storage. And as you can see, we are kind of in the thick of it. There are these very large containers with security systems on the outside of them, but like most electronic devices, security systems only work if they're powered, right? And so as we remove fuses to put in other places, these containers will be opening. Inside of them is a wide variety of biohazard enemy types. There's zombies, there's dogs, there's both types of hunters, there's the zombies with the extra special nemesis parasites on them, and there are also a rare enemy type that is from the Resident Evil 2 remake Ghost Survivors missions, known as the, I want to say they're Whiteheads? But they're essentially regenerator zombies, and they take a very significant amount of damage to dispatch. We're gonna see the first one of those in this room right here. It's the one at the back of the room that's naked. Don't worry, it's not invulnerable to rockets, so we're fine. We get a little jump scare at the end of this hallway by a hunter beta. Don't panic, we know he's coming. Get our final fuse.
Alright, here goes.
And then we can run over and deal with our arch nemesis, who is not the nemesis, by the way. It's this mercenary. In a surprising twist of events, this is the segment where we realize that Nikolai, the man who works for UBCS, the umbrella for biohazard response team, is maybe not there to help like Carlos is, right? That he's stirring the pot, that he's actually gathering data on the nemesis and actively egging them on against you, that he's sold out his teammates, including beloved Tyrell here. We have not really talked about Tyrell, but I just want to say that this man here, I love him.
Find the vaccine up
In a
ahead.
casual playthrough, he's really cool, and the speedrun does not do him justice. Unfortunately, like most named NPCs in Resident Evil that are helping the main protagonist, things are not going to go well for Tyrell, so I need you to brace yourself accordingly and also put a F in chat for this man, because he's going to die in a cutscene here
get this
any
done.
moment now. And there he goes. He's gone. We're never going to see him again. I miss him already.
But we still have
What?
Carlos.
We do still have Carlos. And we are here in the lab proper. While we're walking around picking up a couple objects, is there anything you'd like to share with the chat, Linear?
I just want to remind everyone about the Silent Hill Shattered Memories incentive, so that we get to have the pretty picture colored in with transcribed colors. We still have time for that. We have right up until the scene, the therapy scene, to get that in, and we're at 412.77 pounds out of the 500 pounds needed. So I believe in you all. We can do it. And there is still the open incentive where we get to choose the ending or guilt. And we have until tomorrow to do that. So just get those donations in, everyone. We can do it. We still have time. I believe in you.
I would love to see Schmumbler color the picture in transcribed colors tonight. I think that would be a really nice capstone for our evening.
I might be able to use this to synthesize the vaccine.
But also, devil's advocate here, I would love to see some traction towards saving ourselves, because survival horror protags are expected to be selfless and like give themselves up all the time. Why should we have to give ourselves up just because our cousin made a bad choice in a horror game one time? I don't know. Maybe Emily deserves to be there. We haven't seen the run yet.
Those are facts.
This must be what powers it.
Luckily, we have a little bit more clarity to our decision making here in the lab. We are in the section of the game where Jill needs to push a lot of batteries into walls. This is the first one, but this is a gimmick that will become much more prominent during our final boss fight, which of course I'll explain later. Here is our obligatory room full of hunters and tyrants. If you actually stop to inspect them, Jill has things to say about them, which is really cool to see her interact with the environment in such a way. We're not gonna take the time to do that here today, but I want to point it to your attention in case you haven't noticed yet. This room here kind of sucks casually, but if you aim your rocket at this box sticking off the wall where the keypad is, you should be able to kill everything instantaneously. Now we have both of our virus sample pieces. We can combine them and insert them into the machine to make more vaccine. This is a vaccine base. And the goal here is to resynthesize vaccine so that way when we escape the city, we have a cure to the T-virus, that it can be reproduced somewhere else. Now keep that goal in your pocket, gamers, as we progress here. These hunters got iframes, but they're still not so powerful that they can't withstand the bazooka. We're out of here. And if you remember upstairs where I grabbed that flash drive, that's where we're heading. So we have to take our 2 pieces of vaccine through this room full of the extra resistant enemies. And we have to actually go this way. Take it upstairs. And plug it into a machine, excuse me, that has one of the hardest puzzles in all of Resident Evil. Gamers, I need you to buckle your butts. This puzzle's so hard. You're gonna pee pee poo poo how hard this is.
Place the materials in the chamber.
Okay, we gotta put our materials in chamber. Are you ready? This is, oh my god. Oh, I can't believe I nailed that.
Very
Can't
nice.
believe I nailed that. I hope you weren't taking me seriously. That puzzle was ridiculously easy. It's just 3 button presses, 1 in the first column, 2 in the second column, and then you're done. And it does not change based off of difficulty. So regardless on which difficulty you're playing at, it's always going to be the same combination of presses, just 1 and then 2 and then nothing. In the meantime here, Nemesis is getting a little handsy. So we have to assert our dominance. We're gonna have to fight him here if the document will let me into this room. Normally, we would refer to this as Acid Nemesis. In the old school game, you might remember this segment being one where there's like switches on the wall that you have to hit with your knife. The intended mechanic here is to use these tanks that are around the arena to stun and also dispatch Nemesis. But because we have infinite rockets, we can just sort of end things early. And that's Acid Nemesis.
Nikolai, where did you go?
And here we go. We are approaching our final boss, which, spoiler alert, is still Nemesis. He's not dead. I know. We have fought him so many times, and it's not over. He has transformed once again into whatever this is. And at this point, he is our eyeball boss. I mentioned Jill gets iframes, and that's because when she is interacting with this gun, which is known as the finger, she cannot be knocked off of it. So let me just give him the finger real quick. Looks like 1 was not enough. We do have to reactivate the power sources. There are 3 batteries around the arena. They are in consistent positions regardless of which difficulty you play. There's always going to be 1 on the left and 2 on the right. Since we're playing on assisted, we are going to try to get all 3 of them at once. So the goal here is to push this one in while Nemesis is falling. This will give you enough time to run over and push the second one before he starts to get back up. And if we have timed this correctly, we will have enough time to run across the arena, past his arms that are blocking us, and actually push that third one in. If we timed this incorrectly, he can knock us off of this, but it's not super likely. I don't think it's gonna happen right now.
I'm gonna put you right back on your ass.
Perfect. That was beautiful.
Very nice job.
All right, we're gonna give him the finger. Everyone get ready to say goodbye to Nemesis. He's a good boy doing his job, but he has to go. All right, there he goes. He dies in a cutscene like all of our enemies do. And onward we are to the absolute final moment of the game. You didn't forget about Nikolai, did you? He's actually our nemesis. He's our rival. And so we must confront him as well. I want to remind you, way back at the start of this run, I emptied Jill's pockets. So she has only in her pocket right now a set of lockpicks, a bolt cutter, a couple keys that are no longer useful, some coins, and this rocket launcher. I point that out because she absolutely does not have a pistol on her. And yet, you will see the moment we get up onto this rooftop, Jill will do magic. She's a great magician and sorceress. She has a pistol. And that's time. I hope you enjoyed Resident Evil 3 Remake. This is a cozy run for me. It is a really good time, and I'm so excited to have shown it off for you today. So thank you so much for having me. Thank you for putting up with my nonsense, putting up with my nemesis. We got 54:23 as our in-game time, which is very close to my personal best. And I appreciate all of you being here and contributing towards my incentive for this. Thank you so much.
Awesome. I loved it so much. I know the chat did too. You did an amazing job. Where can we find you at?
I live on Twitch as Big Scared. All one word, no spaces or punctuation. I also live in most places of the internet as Big Scared. There are a couple of sections. And if you can't find me as Big Scared, I'm Big Scared. Again, no spaces or punctuation. So I'm on most of the places, most of the platforms, and I look forward to hopefully seeing you in those places as well.